Don't ignore this moment. Not because a famous name is attached to it, not because it sounds dramatic, but because there are certain moments in life when an idea knocks on the door of your mind, and if you don't open it, it may not knock the same way again. Imagine a voice that cuts through noise, not shouting, not begging, but firm, urgent, awake. A voice that says, "Open the door right now," not to a room, not to a house, but to a way of thinking you've kept locked for too long. Picture Elon Musk not as a billionaire, not as a headline, not as a man surrounded by machines and numbers, but as someone obsessed with one simple question: what happens if you don't open the door when the future knocks? History is full of closed doors. Doors people were too afraid to open. Doors they ignored because they were tired, distracted, comfortable, or convinced that someone else would handle it. Progress doesn't usually arrive gently. It doesn't wait until you're ready. It stands there, knocks once, maybe twice, and then moves on. This message isn't about rockets or electric cars. It's about the moment before action. That silent second where fear and possibility stare at each other. Elon Musk's story, stripped of glamour, is a story of opening doors when it would have been easier to walk away. Doors labeled too risky, too expensive, too ambitious, impossible. Doors most people never even touch because they assume they're locked forever. Think about how many doors you've walked past in your own life. Ideas you dismissed because they sounded unrealistic. Dreams you postponed because timing didn't feel right. Conversations you avoided because they felt uncomfortable. Inside those closed doors were versions of you that never got a chance to exist. And that's the real cost of ignoring the knock. When someone like Elon Musk says, in spirit, "Open the door right now," it isn't arrogance. It's urgency born from experience. It's the understanding that waiting for perfect conditions is just another way of saying no. He has seen what happens when people hesitate. He has lived the chaos of opening doors that led to failure. Ridicule, financial loss, and sleepless nights. And still, he keeps opening them. There's something attractive, almost magnetic, about that mindset. Not the money, not the fame, but the willingness to stand in front of uncertainty and turn the handle anyway. That kind of courage doesn't come from confidence alone. It comes from a deep discomfort with stagnation. A refusal to accept that the present version of reality is the best we can do. Imagine standing in a dark hallway. You don't know what's behind the door. It could be empty. It could be dangerous. It could change everything. Most people stand there calculating, overthinking, asking for guarantees. But guarantees don't exist on the edge of innovation or personal growth. Elon Musk's entire journey is built on accepting that truth and moving forward anyway, He didn't wait until experts agreed with him. He didn't wait until the market felt safe. He didn't wait until public opinion turned kind. He opened the door while critics laughed, while investors doubted, while failure felt more likely than success. That's the part no one glamorizes enough. The loneliness of opening a door alone, and this is where the message becomes personal for you. Because you don't need to build rockets to relate to this. You have your own doors. A decision you've been delaying. A calling you keep quiet because it scares you. A version of yourself you haven't allowed to step forward because it might disrupt the life you've carefully arranged. Open the door right now is not a command to rush blindly. It's an invitation to stop pretending that waiting is the same as preparing. Waiting often disguises fear. It dresses up as responsibility, realism, patience. But deep down, you know when you're ready enough. You know when the knock has come too many times to ignore. Elon Musk often speaks about first principles thinking, breaking problems down to their most basic truths. Apply that here. What is the real reason you haven't opened your door? Strip away the excuses. Is it fear of failure? Fear of judgment? Fear of success and the responsibility that comes with it? Once you see the core truth, it loses some of its power over you. There's an intensity to people who open doors early. They seem a step ahead, not because they're smarter, but because they move before certainty arrives. They understand that clarity often comes after action, not before it. That's an uncomfortable idea for anyone who wants control. But it's also freeing. Think about the world we live in now. Electric cars were once laughed at. Reusable rockets were mocked. Ambitious timelines were called delusional. And yet, those doors were opened. Not perfectly. Not smoothly. But persistently. Behind each open door was another hallway, another challenge, another locked door. And that's the truth no one tells you. Opening one door doesn't end uncertainty. It multiplies it. But it also multiplies growth. If Elon Musk could speak directly to you in this moment, not as a celebrity but as someone who has failed publicly and survived, the message would likely be simple and uncomfortable. Stop waiting for permission. Stop assuming someone else knows better. Stop underestimating what consistent, uncomfortable action can do over time. There is something deeply attractive about urgency paired with purpose. It cuts through distraction. It doesn't allow endless self-doubt to take control. Right now doesn't mean reckless. It means honest. Honest about where you are. Honest about what you want. Honest about the fact that time will move whether you act or not. Doors don't stay open forever. Opportunities change shape. Energy fades. Circumstances shift. You don't need to panic, but you do need to pay attention. When something inside you responds to a knock, when your heart speeds up, when your mind keeps returning to the same idea, that's not random. That's awareness asking you to choose. Elon Musk's life is a reminder that you can survive being wrong. You can survive criticism. You can survive starting over. What's harder to survive is the quiet regret of never trying. Of always wondering what might have happened if you had just opened the door when it mattered. This isn't about becoming someone else. It's about becoming more of who you already are. The part of you that's curious. The part that's restless. The part that knows comfort can slowly become a cage. Opening the door doesn't mean abandoning everything. Sometimes it just means taking the first honest step. You might open it and find chaos. You might open it and realize you're not ready yet. That's okay. Doors can be closed again. What matters is that you didn't ignore the knock. That you chose engagement over avoidance. Action over endless thought, so don't ignore this. Not because of Elon Musk's name, but because this message reflects something timeless. Progress favors those who move. Growth favors those who risk looking foolish. Fulfillment favors those who listen when their inner voice says, "This matters." Open the door right now doesn't mean everything will make sense. It means you trust yourself enough to step forward anyway. And once you do, you'll realize something powerful. The door was never locked. It was waiting for you to believe you were allowed to turn the handle. When you open that door, the first thing you often feel isn't excitement, it's resistance. A sudden weight presses against your chest, like the air itself is asking, "Are you sure?" This is the part no one romanticizes. Elon Musk rarely talks about the exact moment fear shows up, but it's there, every time. Fear doesn't disappear just because you're bold. It simply changes shape. It becomes louder when the stakes are higher. And that's how you know the door matters. After the door opens, you don't step into certainty. You step into responsibility. Suddenly, the idea you've been thinking about is no longer hypothetical. It's alive. It needs energy, discipline, sacrifice. This is where many people turn back. They mistake discomfort for a sign they chose wrong. But discomfort is often just growth introducing itself without permission. Look closely at Musk's path and you'll notice a pattern. Every major leap forward came after a moment where retreat would have made more sense. When companies were burning cash, when timelines were failing, when critics were relentless, those were the moments the door had already closed behind him. Not because he couldn't go back, but because mentally, he refused to live as someone who quit when pressure arrived. That's the deeper message hidden inside "Open the Door Right Now." It's not only about starting. It's about staying. Staying when excitement fades. Staying when no one claps. Staying when the voice in your head whispers that this was a mistake. Most people can open a door once. Very few can keep walking when the hallway gets dark, and here's the truth that stings a little. The version of you that stays comfortable will always criticize the version of you that tries. Comfort hates disruption. Comfort will remind you of everything you could lose. But it rarely reminds you of what you're already losing by staying still: time, potential, self-respect. There's a quiet confidence that develops when you repeatedly choose action over avoidance. Elon Musk didn't wake up fearless. He trained himself into resilience by facing consequences head-on. Each open door strengthened a muscle most people never develop: the ability to endure uncertainty without collapsing. Ask yourself this honestly: what door are you pretending not to see? Not the obvious one everyone talks about, but the subtle one. The idea you keep circling back to late at night. The change you keep postponing until someday. That's not coincidence. That's your awareness tapping you on the shoulder again. The world rewards clarity, but clarity often comes after movement. Waiting to feel ready is a trap. You don't become ready by thinking, you become ready by doing. Elon Musk understood that early. He didn't wait to feel confident about space exploration. He learned by committing fully and adapting under pressure. And yes, opening doors can cost you things. Relationships might shift. People might misunderstand you. Some will project their fears onto your choices. But here's what they won't tell you: those who criticize from the outside are rarely brave enough to open their own doors. Their judgment says more about their limits than yours. There is an intensity that grows inside you once you stop ignoring the knock. You begin to see time differently. Distractions lose their appeal. You become more selective about what deserves your energy. This isn't obsession, it's alignment. It's what happens when your actions finally match what you say you want. Elon Musk's attractiveness, if we're honest, doesn't come from wealth or status. It comes from congruence. He lives in a way that reflects his beliefs, even when it's costly. That kind of integrity is rare. And it's magnetic. People sense when someone isn't living a divided life. You don't need to be extreme. You just need to be honest. Honest about what you've outgrown. Honest about what scares you. Honest about the fact that comfort without purpose eventually feels empty. Opening the door is how you choose meaning over numbness. So if you feel unsettled right now, that's not a problem. That's a signal. Something in you is waking up. Something is asking to be taken seriously. You can silence it again, or you can respond. Neither choice is painless, but only one leads forward. This is where the message sharpens. Right now doesn't mean you abandon your life overnight. It means you stop lying to yourself about what matters. It means you take one concrete step instead of another week of thinking. One honest conversation. One decision. One action that aligns with the future you keep imagining, because once you ignore the knock too many times, it grows quieter. Not gone, just quieter. And the scariest thing isn't failing after opening the door. It's waking up years later realizing the door stopped knocking altogether. This moment matters more than you think. Not because someone famous said something dramatic, but because your life is responding to you. The door is there. The handle is within reach. And whether you open it or not will shape who you become. There's a moment after the door has been open for a while when the noise of the world rushes in. Opinions. Expectations. Pressure. This is when clarity gets tested. Elon Musk has often stood in that noise, surrounded by voices telling him what he should do, how he should slow down, why something can't work. And yet, the most defining decisions were made when he learned how to hear his own thinking above everything else. Once you step through the door, you realize something uncomfortable. No one is coming to rescue you. Support may appear, guidance may show up, but responsibility stays with you. That's where real confidence is born, not from applause, but from self-trust built under pressure. This is why so many people hesitate. They don't fear effort as much as they fear ownership. There's an attractive calm in people who accept full responsibility for their choices. Elon Musk carries that calm even when things look chaotic. He doesn't outsource blame. He doesn't wait for ideal conditions. He adapts, adjusts, absorbs the impact, and keeps moving. That energy isn't loud, but it's powerful. It says, "I chose this, and I'll carry it." As you keep walking, you begin to see how much of life is shaped by invisible decisions. The ones no one sees. The late nights. The mental battles. The moments where quitting would be socially acceptable, even encouraged. Most success stories are built in these invisible spaces. The world only notices once the results are undeniable, and here's the part that changes you. Once you've opened one meaningful door, you can't unsee others. Your awareness expands. You start recognizing patterns, how fear disguises itself as logic, how comfort negotiates against your future, how excuses repeat themselves with new wording. This awareness can be uncomfortable, but it's also empowering. Elon Musk didn't become relentless overnight. Relentlessness is learned when you keep choosing long-term meaning over short-term relief. It's choosing discipline when motivation fades. It's choosing curiosity over ego. It's choosing progress over approval. Those choices compound quietly until they redefine who you are. You may notice that after a while, the door behind you feels farther away. Not locked, just distant. You could still turn back, but something inside you resists. You've tasted forward motion. You've felt what it's like to align your actions with your inner truth. Going back would feel like shrinking. This is when identity shifts. You stop asking, "What if I fail?" and start asking, "What if I don't try fully?" That question changes behavior. It sharpens focus. It removes the illusion that safety equals happiness. Elon Musk's life reflects this shift clearly. His risks aren't reckless, they're intentional responses to a bigger vision. There will be days when doubt returns. It always does. But doubt feels different once you've moved. It no longer paralyzes you, it informs you. It becomes a signal to refine, not retreat. That's the difference between dreamers and builders. The more you walk, the more you realize that doors were never the enemy. Fear was. Fear of being seen. Fear of being judged. Fear of discovering your own limits. And yet, every step forward stretches those limits. What once felt terrifying becomes normal. What once felt impossible becomes familiar. This is why ignoring the knock is so costly. It keeps you small in a world that quietly rewards expansion. Not reckless expansion, but honest growth. Growth rooted in responsibility, courage, and persistence. So if you're still here, still reading, that's not accidental. Something in you recognizes this pattern because you're living it. You're standing somewhere between who you've been and who you could become. That space is uncomfortable, but it's sacred. It's where transformation actually happens. You don't need a dramatic leap. You need continuity. One step, then another. Consistency beats intensity every time. Elon Musk didn't change industries by one bold move. He did it by sustained pressure applied over years. Let this part sink in. Opening the door wasn't the hard part. Staying open is. Staying curious. Staying committed. Staying honest when the shine wears off. That's where most people drift back into old patterns. But you don't have to. You've already moved once. You've already listened. Now it's about trusting that movement and continuing forward, even when the path isn't clearly marked. The door opened for a reason. Not to impress anyone. Not to prove anything. But to invite you into a life where you no longer ignore your own potential. And once you accept that invitation, there's no real going back, only deeper forward. Eventually, there comes a quiet moment when you realize the door is no longer the focus. You stop thinking about the knock, the handle, the fear. You're inside now, living in the space you once hesitated to enter. And what surprises you most is not how hard it is, but how right it feels. Difficult, yes. Demanding, absolutely. But aligned. Like your life finally clicked into its proper place. This is the part people rarely talk about. After enough persistence, action becomes identity. You're no longer someone trying to be brave. You're simply someone who moves when it matters. Elon Musk didn't wake up one day and decide to be relentless. Relentlessness became a byproduct of refusing to betray his own curiosity and vision, again and again, even when it cost him comfort. There is a deep peace that comes from knowing you didn't run from your own calling. Even on days when progress feels slow, that peace stays. It's the peace of integrity. Of knowing that you didn't silence the voice inside you that asked for more. Most people are exhausted not because they do too much, but because they avoid what they know they should do. And here's the truth that settles in over time. The world responds differently to someone who has opened their door. Not because you demand respect, but because you carry yourself differently. There's a steadiness in your decisions. A clarity in your boundaries. A gravity to your presence. You've faced uncertainty and survived, and that changes how you stand. Elon Musk's story reflects this over and over. Failures didn't break him because his identity wasn't tied to being right, it was tied to moving forward. That distinction is powerful. When you stop needing perfection,